Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and dignitaries of the dais, Principal of Clarence School, Mr. Jerry George Matthew, Chairman of the Board, Mr. Daniel, Chairman of the Trust, Mr. Anup Sols, Secretary Joel Samuel, and Trustee, Mrs. Nalini Paul, and my dear students. It's a great privilege for me to be here, and I'm really so honored to meet each and every one of you. You might be all waiting for this day, right? Both the parents and the students. And some of you students might be knowing where you're going, and some of you might not be even sure where you're going. Last 2 years, the world has struggled through a difficult situation. This is the first time I'm seeing many people face to face without masks. It's amazing to look at your face and laugh without a mask. Through all the difficult period, what keeps us going? What makes us to go through this difficult period without any problem? That's knowing the life's purpose. That's what today I'm going to speak about. The Viktor Frankl, the concentration camp survivor, said, "Life is not made unbearable by circumstances. Life is made unbearable only by a lack of purpose." Miles Monroe developed on that, and he said, "The greatest tragedy in life is not death, but a life without purpose." That's why today I want to ask each and every one of you, students, what's your purpose? Where you're heading to? While navigating through struggles, many wonder, is there any purpose to my life? I just see pain everywhere. Is there any purpose to it? Some of you might have heard about California fires, right? In California, many times we can see big forest fires, huge forest fires. That country, they have something called lodgepole pine. So it has a cone that only opens at high temperature. So whenever the forest fire comes, the cones opens and it breaks forth the seeds. That's why when every tree goes off, but this pine comes up. So many times, pain, problems help us to know our purpose. All of us is faced sooner or later with a hard reality. What's all life is about? Even when pain strikes, at that time, let's remember that through pain, sometimes God reveals our purpose. You know, our sun, the star, is a third generation star. But before this, there are two more generations, and those stars died as supernova. Because of that, elements were scattered around in the universe, and so our sun is a metal-rich star. That's why it can hold human life. That's why we are able to live here. Because some of the stars died. Everywhere you see, unless a grain of wheat dies, it shall never give forth to a fruit. So that's what Bible also says, that many times God, through pain, through struggles, many of you would have faced a lot of pain during the last two periods. But I wanted to say to you today, might be God wants to reveal something amazing through it all. Have you heard of Michelangelo? He is one of the beautiful painter, and he is one of those beautiful sculptor. He painted on the Sistine Chapel, and his sculptors are called as captives. He takes a stone which is rejected by everyone, and then he looks into the stone, his image that he wants to carve. So he just chips away the unwanted stones, and then his image beautifully comes out as though it was captivated and the captives are released. So that's what many times God does. He looks into us and he chips out the unwanted portions, and the beautiful image of us comes out. But we cry out, "God, why? Why me?" But actually, through it all, something amazing, something beautiful, God brings us out. That's the purpose. sometimes of pain. Have you heard of storm? Maybe all of you would have heard, but have you heard of storm surge? For example, sometime back in Florida, when a huge storm came, in the Tampa Bay, the water went back inside. So people were scared. Why there is no water in this seashore? It went deep inside, and they understood as they were worried. The next day it came so much high, 5 to 8 feet of water came, and it went to the places that was never ever had water earlier. So that's what many times in our life, pain, we get pulled back, but we get propelled forward by the grace of God. Through it all, He sustains us. He helps us out. You know, I was in an environment, a very happy environment. I thought I'm living in a fairyland. I always, when I was young, I used to read all the fairy tales. My favorite are Cinderella and the Snow White and others. But at one point in my life, I had to walk on eggshell. My life was like a roller coaster, for not 1 year, 2 years, 20 long years. I had cried out to God, God, if you exist, why don't you come to my rescue? If you are so powerful and so loving, don't you feel that you can help me out? But I felt God was like a stepfather. If He was a father to everyone, for me, He was a stepfather. So I closed the Bible. I never read the Bible. And except few Psalms, I never knew my God. Though I have returned before that, everywhere Jesus is my lover, at one point I had my fist against Him. I was doing my PhD in aerospace engineering in IISc. I got BE with honors long back, 15 years back at that time, in electronics. Both are different fields, and I found it so difficult, and I had to manage my 2 little children and all the things, and I fell into serious depression that time. I got a serious pneumonia. I thought it's a fever, but when they admitted, my lung has gone, one lung. Antibiotics could not help. My another lung also had gone. They thought I'm going to die. They put me on ventilator. I was also happy to die because I tried with suicide many times and I could never die. So I thought, I was scared of that. So I thought this was the best. But when I was on the ventilator, the God I thought had forgotten me came in search of me. I was crying as like in Isaiah 49, Lord has forgotten me. Zion said, the Lord has forgotten me. The Lord has forsaken me. The Lord said, can a mother forget her nursing child? She may forget, but I will never forget you. I have carved you in the palms of my hand. I have loved you with an everlasting love. Jeremiah 31. So all these verses, at that time nothing came to me, but I heard one voice. The voice of the Lord. I'm giving you new life 3 times. And all the 5 days I was on the ventilator with all the things going inside my mouth and hands were tied. I felt the embrace of the presence of God. I came out, the words what I spoke now came to me, the words of the Bible stood out and started healing me slowly. And in the 6 months' time, I read the Bible and I also was transformed. That's when I did my Master of Divinity and my Christian studies and many others. And then I thought, okay, this is the Lord I want to serve because He is more than enough. The whole world can turn you down, but if God is for us, who can be against us? And I was doing my PhD, I could not finish. 7 years over, I put a chair next to me. I told God, you're my guide. You have to help me out. And 5 years I couldn't write my project. In 7th year I finished. And in 2007 I got my PhD. Then in 2012 I got my Master of Divinity. And then I did in 2015 I got my project management from Washington DC and ITPTU. So God started showing me that I'm made for excellence because He's the one who's living in me. When He lives in us, when the God of excellence lives in us, we can live for His excellence, for His glory. That's when I understood that Christ in me, the hope of glory. Something amazing, it transformed me. What is the reason? I would say 2 reasons that made me to rise like a phoenix from the ashes. He changed me physically, psychologically, emotionally, and he helped my children to get in good universities in the US and get a job. So what are the two things? I would say the first one is the knowledge of my origin. The second one is the knowledge of my destiny. So let me tell you about the first one. So I reading about cosmology because I love cosmology, I love space. Space is infinite, and I started loving it so much. So I entered 4 years other than my office work every Saturday, Sunday. I started reading more books on all such things. And what I understood is too amazing. I went to NASA, to the Goddard Research Center, and I saw beautiful telescopes, big, big mirrors of the James Clerk Maxwell's telescope. It's going to replace Hubble. And, through the telescopes, when we have seen now 2 trillion galaxies. Light takes just 7 minutes to reach us in the speed of 186,000 miles per second, but light takes 100,000 years to reach across our galaxy. That huge our Milky Way is. And in the right place in the Milky Way, our solar system is located. If it would have been inside, we would have been sucked by black hole. If we would have been outside, little away, there will be no elements for life to exist. Why we are located in the right place? And coming to our solar system, there are so many planets. Why there is no life? Because Earth is the only habitable planet. Earlier Mars had water, but now it's not there because of the atmosphere. Everything had got depleted. Because we have atmosphere, we have magnetic field, we have greenhouse effect, we have everything so that life can exist. If there is no designer, it can never happen this way. Scientists are amazed with all those telescopes. They have found around 5,000 exoplanets. What is an exoplanet? A planet that rotates around its star, like our Earth. Earlier they thought that Earth is the only planet that rotates around this leg. But now there are 5,000 planets, still more they are going to find by Kepler telescope. But till now they haven't found any sign of life. That's when they are amazed. Is there anybody out there? SETI has been established, so many things. Search for extraterrestrials. Is there anybody out there? But still now they haven't found. Even this huge universe that consists of 2 trillion galaxies, it's expanding at a huge rate. The rate of expansion, 1 second after the initial Big Bang, if it would have been smaller by 1 part in 1 quintillion, the whole universe would crumble. So that's what Stephen Hawking said. What is that breathes fire into those equations? What is it? Even atheistic scientists cannot understand the gravity and all the four fundamental forces. If it would have been smaller by 1 part, you can see it's not a smaller thing. The whole universe would never have life. It's standing on the knife edge of its existence. That's what Paul Davies says. Fred Hoyle, the British astronomer, the atheistic astronomer, he says that a super intellect has monkeyed with physics, chemistry, and biology. Because he's not able to understand. There is no super intellect as per him, but when he looks at physics, chemistry, and biology, everything has been finely tuned. Even the atoms, the proton to neutron ratio is slightly changed. Intelligent life cannot exist. There can be no more atoms. There can be no more life. So what is it that makes all these things to happen? On Christmas Day of 1968, 3 scientists, Bill Anders, Jim Lovell, and Frank Borman of Apollo 8. They went to the dark side of the moon, and when they were coming up, they saw the Earth so beautiful, and the blue planet around white, surrounded by white light. And when they looked at that, nothing came to their mind. They started reciting the first 10 verses of the Bible. In the beginning, God created heaven and earth. What made them to repeat that, Because until the 20th century, a majority of scientists believe that the whole universe is eternal. It existed forever. So if the universe existed, there is no need to think of there is a God. Either God should be eternal or the universe should be eternal, right? Either one of the things. So you can believe anything. So now all the research pointed to the fact that there is a one-time beginning, as the first verse of the Bible says. So that's when people were wondering, atheist scientists, who, if there is a one-time beginning, who started that? Might be there is a quantum fluctuation, but quantum fluctuation cannot do it. There are so many questions. That's when I wrote the book. You can look at my website, or you can look at Amazon, Beyond the Boundaries of Science, Exploring the Cosmic Story. You can write to me. And so I'm also writing a movie script, Perfect Accidents, based on this. So it's amazing how God rose me, lifted me from ashes to this level. It's only by His grace. I knew that it is possible because He's amazing. He's so great. He created all the things. He's holding the orbit of every planet in His hands. So if He can hold the orbit of every planet, He cannot control your little life. Give Him the driver's seat. And the second thing which I understood is, if I give God my destiny, if I know that my destiny is sure, I know about my origin, that is God, that's why I came into existence. If I know my destiny. Recently I got COVID, last April 2021. And at that time, all hospitals were not even having oxygen cylinders. My both sons are in the US and I'm alone here. So then, you know what fear that strikes. I was repeating the verse, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I shall fear no evil, because you are with me, God. The presence of God makes a difference. Joseph was put in a pit. Joseph was given for slavery. Joseph was seduced. But every moment, every time, God was with him. God was with him. That's why he rose to the palace. But same thing, I was meditating on that. If God is with me, if God's presence resides in me, that's enough. If Romans 14:8, if I live with Him. If I die for Him. So I live or die, I belong to Him. So I decided I will switch off my mobile and listen to the reading of the word. And then I started prone breathing. Before that, I went to Manipal Hospital. I told God, I'm packing my things, I'm driving my car with my all breathing problems. You drive for me. Just come with me. I may be admitted, but I want to come back. God help me to return back the same day, because there is no bed there, and I'm so happy to return, and God protected me. It's amazing when you know that you are living every day as the last day of your life. That was the time I understood, this might be my last day. What is the first priority I should have? I understood my degree is nothing, my studies are nothing, my position is nothing. It's only God and God alone. So finally, I wanted to say in just 3-4 minutes, so failures in life, sometimes that's what I talked about, the purpose. When you go through pain and failures, it becomes more clear. Many times we treat failure as something very wrong. We associate failure to us. If we fail in exam, we think that we are not fit. If we fail in our work or in our job, we think, I am not okay. But it's not that way. Treat failure as a scientist. When a scientist finds a failure, they will go to the next step. They'll go to the next step. Failures are the stepping stones to success. So Winston Churchill once said, success is the ability to go from one failure to another without losing any enthusiasm. You know, failures are not you. Successes are not you. Failure is not fatal. Success is not final. But finally, what is success? If you ask some few people, they might say that coming up first in the school, or getting an award or a trophy, or getting a lot of money. But you know, Boris Becker, when he was in the top of his career, he was suicidal. He had everything, but he didn't want to live. See, is that success? So what is success? The same day, like you, when all of you are getting graduated, one day a professor called them, all the students, to his place, and he gave them coffee. And he kept a lot of cups, different cups. And all the students went and took the beautiful cups. So he said, coffee, is the taste is same or different? They all laughed and they said it's same. So these color cups are your outside things. It might be your job, it might be your position, or it might be your external things.
That's all false seductions. But the real thing is what you're giving to someone else. When you die, can someone say, she has done something great, or he or she has done something, invested in my life. She did something great that I am able to live. So finally, I wanted to settle the quote of Blaise Pascal. Pascal says, Lord, help me to do great things as though they are small, because I do it in your power. Lord, help me to do little things as though they are great, because I do it in your name. We are all his workmanships. Bible clearly says in Ephesians 2, we are his workmanship made beautifully beforehand. But again, we are also able to read, it is God who works in us. So God is the one who works in us. He is the energy within us. He works in us to make us a beautiful masterpiece. We are all unique. Our DNA is so beautifully differently made. Even identical twins does not have same DNA. So that's where God has created us. So that's when we have forgive first priority to God. And it was this Christmas Day, 1939. The World War I has taken around 9 million lives. And at that time, he was giving his Christmas message. He said, he was telling about a poem. He said, I asked the man who stood at the gate of the earth, give me a light so that I can tread into the dark world. But he said, put your hand into the hand of God, and that will be to you to a great light and a safe path. That's what today I wanted to say to each and every one of you, dear students. Put your hand into the hand of God. The future may look so difficult. So, you might not be sure, but once you put your hand into the hand of the Almighty God, the all-powerful God, for whom nothing is difficult, He will guide you. He will walk with you. It's so beautiful to walk with God. That intimate relation with God will differentiate you from anyone else. You know, Daniel had a close relationship with God. The king Nebuchadnezzar did not know that. Similarly, Joseph had a relation with God. Potiphar did not know. Hannah had a relation with God. Even the prophet Eli did not know. People will not know if you walk with God, but your face and your actions, everything will be. So today I wanted to ask each and every one of you, put your hands into the hand of God, walk all through your life. Thank you so much.